What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my monologue series. This is episode number 3 of Andre's thoughts, you could call them. Naturally, Andre. And I'm just here to just run my mouth about things that I enjoy: sports, movies, entertainment, literally anything, video games. I do like to kick these things off by talking about the teams that I'm a fan of. So let's go ahead and get it out of the way. You see it. I'm wearing it again for the second straight episode. The Pacers are now 9-2 since Christmas break, so they're rolling right now. Unfortunately, we did lose our point guard, Tyrese Haliburton, to a hamstring injury against the Boston Celtics. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, so hopefully everything's all good there, and he's able to at least be back in time for the NBA All-Star game, which will be, I think it's usually like the second weekend in February, so that's still a month away. But my man's did the splits against the Celtics, and he wasn't trying to do the splits. So when you're not trying to do the splits and you do them, you're probably going to be in for a pretty brutal injury. So, our thoughts are with Halliburton, wishing him a speedy recovery. But the rest of the team is balling right now. Mathurin's been stepping up. Miles Turner's been stepping up. TJ McConnell has been stepping up. Even Aaron Naismith every now and then. Andrew Nemhard. This is a good, solid, scrappy team. They don't really play a whole lot of defense, but hey, who cares? We're like scoring insane amounts of points. So we're not looking to win the championship this year anyways. So don't play any defense. Win the games that you're winning. What's their record right now? The Pacers are 23-16 in sixth place. That is incredible. They're in sixth place right now, and they don't play any defense. It's my boys right there. Another thing, let's see, on my teams, Kentucky Wildcats, love them, number 6 in the nation, but a devastating loss yesterday. Oh my gosh, against Texas A&M. Texas A&M was 9-6 going into this game, and Kentucky lost in overtime. One thing about that game, though, that was interesting to me, I honestly, as a Kentucky Wildcats fan, felt like the referees were kind of being a little unfair to Texas A&M. There was a guy who made a wicked 4-point play in overtime, and they just like waved it off because I don't know. They called it an offensive foul because he kind of stuck his foot out a little bit against the defender, but as a basketball fan, it looked like a 4-point play to me. There was another moment where they called a player for offensive interference because they said that the ball was still over the cylinder. I mean, it was literally going to be a miss. It was he might have been, zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2 seconds too early from getting this tip in. But, it is what it is in the end. Kentucky lost. DJ Wagner fumbled the ball at the very end of the second half, and it was the most devastating thing I've had to witness because I was telling all my homies, Rob Dillingham is going to win this game. Rob Dillingham is the man, and he didn't get to prove it. He takes some big shots. He takes some bad shots, but Rob Dillingham, he's the future of the NBA. I really believe it. He kind of reminds me of Russell Westbrook in a way. Kind of hard to really compare them right now, but he's extremely explosive guard, and he's not afraid of big moments. So Kentucky not doing too good after a loss. Indiana Pacers still on the rise, even though we lost today to the Denver Nuggets. It is what it is. We don't have our point guard. This team definitely looks like a playoff team, though. So, yeah, a lot of fun going on in the sports world for my teams. Let's see. So last week, we made predictions on who we think is going to win, in the UFC. That finally happened yesterday. I've been without the UFC for 3 weeks. I was losing my mind. Not really losing my mind, but if you know me, you know I'm a UFC fanatic. I tune in every single Saturday, and I didn't get that opportunity since Christmas. Then you had New Year's. Then you had last weekend. And then we finally got it again this weekend, and it was tremendous. Some big fights. Oh, well, I guess I shouldn't say big fights, but some big moments. And in my predictions, we went 8 for 11. Originally, whenever we made our predictions, there was 12 fights scheduled. However, Cape was disqualified because he missed weight. I think he came in like 3.5 pounds overweight. So yeah, they went ahead and scrapped Cape from the main event or the co-main event, and that fight was replaced with Arlovsky versus Cortez Acosta, which I did get that one right. You know, Cortez Acosta got a big win over Andrei Arlovsky. He's a gatekeeper at the heavyweight division, but he's a former champion. So I mean, if you get a win over a former champion, that's really good on your resume. Despite age, like it doesn't really matter. You beat somebody who's got a lot of legacy to their name, so to speak. Let's see. One that we missed Mota versus Nolan. That was the second fight of the night. So my parlay was completely shot as soon as that happened. Mota won by knockout. Jim Miller versus Benitez. I went with Benitez, and I should have went with the veteran because Jim Miller put on a nice, a decent performance. I don't want to say it was like his best performance ever in recent memory, but he got the win. And then we missed the Phil Haas fight versus Ferreira. I'm not sure why I went with Phil Haas because I'm not a Phil Haas fan, but I guess there was just part of me that was like, you know what, let's give him a shot. Nah, he disappointed me, and I knew better than that. So he ended up getting KO'd also. Pretty wicked KO at that. One of the better KOs of the night. With Jim Miller winning his fight against Benitez, he has extended his UFC record for the most wins in the company at 26. He's 40 years old and he's still going strong. He looks great. He called out Paul Felder for a fight at UFC 300. Let's do it. You know, I heard that Paul Felder was trying to make a comeback anyway, so like, let's go ahead and run legend versus legend. So let's do that, or give Jim Miller a pretty decent opponent at 300. You know, give him Paddy Pimblett or something. I don't know if they're even the same weight class. That was just me throwing something out. Along with having the UFC record for the most wins, Jim Miller also is second in UFC for wins via stoppage. He has 18 wins, and that's second behind Charles Oliveira, who has 20. So that's impressive. And, you know, going back to what I was just saying about he wants to fight at UFC 300, we don't have a main event for UFC 300. So this was a discussion I had with my homies last night. No main event for April. You know, Dana White has been saying this is going to be the biggest card ever created, you know, and as far as we know, the only rumor that is going to headline UFC 300 is going to be Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. I personally am okay with that fight. I think that's a tremendous fight. It's a rematch. It ended in no contest last time, with Leon Edwards poking Belal Muhammad right in his eye. So I'm down to see the rematch of that one. That'll be a lot of fun. However, it's not very well received. A lot of fans don't necessarily want to see Belal Muhammad get a title shot. A lot of fans aren't really that excited about Belal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. They'd rather see, you know, Edwards versus Shavkat Rakhmonov over that one. So stylistically, that's a lot more of a fun fight. Shavkat just is unstoppable. I mean, the man's undefeated. I don't think he's ever gone to a decision. So seems kind of a scarier fight for Edwards, but Rocky Leon Edwards is one of the better fighters in the UFC right now. He's one of the best champions. I have no doubt that if it's Shavkat Rakhmonov, if it's Belal Muhammad, if it's anybody, you know, Leon Edwards is going to line him up and knock him down. Unless it's Islam Makhachev. That sounds like a fun fight. I don't think that's coming anytime soon. So even then, I would probably go Leon Edwards. You know, somebody much bigger than Islam. Islam bullied Volkanovski last year 2 times, but Edwards is much bigger and his defense is pretty good, defensive takedowns. So that would be a fun fight, but that's not going to headline 300 or anything. So Conor McGregor got announced for a fight. That was in June, the end of June. No word on if John Jones is returning or not. So UFC 300 is this grand thing that Dana White has expressed to us, but your 2 top guys in the company aren't even going to be on the card. So there's no Conor McGregor and no John Jones. Who else can help carry this card to being one of the better cards of the year? None other than Powhatan, Alex Pereira. I brought up that he should fight Adesanya, number 3, for the 180, no, not 185, for the 205-pound belt at light heavyweight. I think that sells good. Those 2 guys have a rich history. they're going to put on a show, and that's what it's all about. It's all about creating the best matchmaking possible. So if we get him matched up against, well, Jerry's already going to be fighting Rakic, and Jan Blachowicz is out. Jamal Hill is out. We haven't heard anything about when he'll be ready to come back. And Ankalaev just got a win yesterday over Johnny Walker. So Ankalaev is obviously up next to get a title shot against Alex Pereira. But it's when you compare the two, Pereira versus Ankalaev, Pereira versus Adesanya. Obviously, one seems like a lot more fun. You get two stars fighting at 300 in the main event over, Pereira, who's a double champ and who's a double champ, and Ankalaev, who's, he's respected. He's a good fighter, but he's not exactly one of the UFC's most marketable competitors they have. So personally, I'd like to see Pereira get a better opponent for 300, but who knows? He may not even make it on the card. Ankalaev may not want to fight as soon as April. I mean, after fighting in January, and he was already supposed to fight, he did fight, even though the round, got called off against Johnny Walker before. This was kind of their rematch because it was a no contest. I think that, who knows? He might take that opportunity. And would that headline over Edwards Bilal? Probably not. Even though the UFC tends to book the heavier weight class as the main event over the other one. We've already got Zhang Weili fighting. Who's she fighting? She's going to be retaining her belt, or not retaining it, but Zhang Weili is going to be defending her belt. I love Zhang Weili. She's an amazing fighter. Against Yan Jianan, another Chinese fighter. So that'll be a good fight. I'm excited for that one. Speaking of female fighters, my favorite female fighter is coming back. April 27th, UFC Fight Night at the Apex. The Queen of Violence, the number 12 ranked Ariane Lipski is looking for a fourth straight win over number 13 Karine Silva. Come on, we already know where I stand on this. Ariane Lipski is going to get this dub. I predicted her by KO over Casey O'Neill last time. It looked like it was going to be a KO finish, and it ended up being a submission, which is fine. I don't care. I'll lose as much money as I need to as long as Ariane Lipski wins these fights. She's a flyweight, one of my favorite fighters. She's an amazing striker, amazing groundwork. She's the complete package. She just has some losses. She's got caught a couple of times. Cachoeira got the better of her, but yeah. Can't wait. Looking forward to that one. That's like some great news for me. I wish that was on UFC 300, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, no John Jones, no Conor McGregor. Hopefully, we can get Alex Pereira because there's not really any other champions that can help carry this card, unless you look at Tom Aspinall. Now, Tom Aspinall is he's the interim heavyweight champion, and he could make an appearance at 300. I don't know who he would necessarily be fighting. Cyril Gahn, I suppose, but I'm not sure if that's really enough to make everybody go, "Oh my God, this 300 card is so stacked. This is the best card I've ever seen." Like, oh, this tops UFC 200 by a mile. But I mean, at this point, you missed out on Connor. Everybody else is injured. UFC 299 kind of looks better than 300 because 299 has, I believe, Oliveira and Sarukian. That might be at 300. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Charles Oliveira and Sarukian is at 300, but at 299, I want to say is Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis. And now that fight is a banger of a fight. I would go crazy to see that. Yeah, if we're looking at UFC 299, Sean O'Malley versus Cheeto Vera, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis, Caitlin Chukagian versus Macy Barber. I like Macy Barber. She's going to definitely pull that one out. Curtis Blades versus Jalton Almeida. Jalton Almeida is man, he looked horrible in his last fight against Derek Lewis, but that guy to me, man, he's something special. I think he'll finally kind of bounce back from that loss. People weren't too sold on him, but Charlton Almeida's up next for sure. Matej Gamrot versus Rafael Dos Anjos. Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. Lauren Murphy versus Carini Silva. That's not gonna happen. Maybe that's why we announced. That's why the Ariane Lipsky fight was announced. Perhaps something is going on with Lauren Murphy, and this fight has canceled, and it just hasn't been updated yet on here. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. Michael Pereira's coming back. I'm not too crazy about him, but he's not as far as like him being a serious competitor. But I mean, he's definitely one of the more fun strikers to watch. You know, that guy will like literally do a backflip and stomp you on the head while you're on the ground or something. So, yeah, 299 looks like a lot of fun. 300, you know, it needs a little bit of work to really be the greatest card. You know, when you have your UFC 100, UFC 200, UFC 300. It's unfortunate that the John Jones is injured and won't be able to come back in time, but hey, it is what it is. You know, well, I'll just tune in and watch them all. Next week is UFC 297. Pretty excited about that one. Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. A lot of drama going on between the two of them. So I personally think that Sean Strickland will get the win on that one, but we'll go over that at another time. I'll make a separate video for that because that just seems like a lot for me to sit over here and break down another card and be like, oh my God, let's go Strickland, let's go Buena Silva, let's go Magny, let's go. Oh, Chris Curtis is fighting. I actually could do it. I have the time technically to do it, but let's break it up. You know, I mean, this is a lot to kind of get into. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to, say thanks for tuning in. I want to close this out on a positive note. So, what have I personally been up to? Yesterday I beat Starfield and Cyberpunk in the same day. Like, that's tremendous. Um, I already kind of advanced in Cyberpunk to the very end, and then you have a finale mission. And I didn't want to continue past that finale without knocking out all the side quests along the way. Cyberpunk had an update, and my Xbox couldn't install the update. I didn't have enough space on there, go figure. So I never hopped back on there again until I finally deleted the game and it was able to install the update. And I think me beating Starfield and yesterday morning was kind of like, you know what? I want to go ahead and get that satisfaction of getting another title off my weight. Getting another. I don't even know how to say it. Just the accomplishment of beating two games in one day. So between the two of them, which one did I enjoy more? Starfield was a slow burn at the start for me. I wasn't a fan when I first got that game. I think Bethesda's whole dialogue sequence is so outdated compared to the modern games like Cyberpunk. The cutscenes are way better, which I know that's not their marketing scheme. That's not how they make their games, to have cutscenes like that. However, that's what I personally enjoy more. If I'm playing an RPG like Red Dead Redemption or something, I want to be able to hear my character speak. I want to be able to interact with more people. If you're romancing somebody, I don't want our romance options to just be limited to just talking to each other and that's it. We're just staring at each other and my character doesn't even have a voice. As opposed to Cyberpunk, when you romance Pan Am and sh- we jumped in the shower the last time I played the game together. So, I mean, hey, just saying, between the two of them, I think I enjoyed Cyberpunk more, but I'll give Starfield I'll tip my hat to Starfield. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, and I'll give Cyberpunk an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. They're both fun games. I enjoyed them both. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to play next. I did finally get a capture card, so hopefully I can begin streaming soon. That's something I've been wanting to do. I have all this tech, and I finally got a new laptop, and so it's kind of like, what? I want to put it all together. I want to see what I can create with the resources I have in front of me right now. Let's start trying to stream. So hopefully you'll see me announce a Twitch account soon, and I don't know what the first game I'll play on there will be because I just beat Starfield and Cyberpunk. But I don't know. I might get UFC 5 or the man who erased his name, Yakuza game. I love the Yakuza games. Oh my god, so much. I've beaten Yakuza 0, Yakuza 1, Yakuza 3, Yakuza 4, Yakuza 5, Yakuza 6, Yakuza 7, which is the first Like a Dragon installment. And then we have The Man Who Erased His Name, which would be up next. So I haven't beaten Yakuza 2 and The Man Who Erased His Name. So I'm only 2 games out of a series of 9 games so far. That's not including Ishin, which is them going back into same characters, except they renamed them and it takes place in a different time period, feudal Japan. I haven't started that one yet, so who knows? They're all on Game Pass, which is pretty awesome. So it's not like I have to go out and buy them. Yeah, as always, man, this is a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to making another one of these next week, and hopefully, I have something better to share. Look forward to me breaking down the UFC card a little later on in the week. Just kind of wanted to shorten this down a bit. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.